It is fall break in our home, and so today I thought I'd share a quick review of how our first term went. Hello and welcome back to Wholehearted Homemaking. My name is Heather, and here I share all things homeschooling, motherhood, and homemaking related. Today I wanted to share a little bit of our first term in review. Now, if you're not familiar with what a term is, I'm using it as opposed to an 18-week semester. We have three 12-week terms. And so our first term is done. We did exams last week and we are on fall break this week. And so I thought I'd share a few of our hits and misses and what we're going to be doing different going forward. So let's start with the hits. Now, I'm not going to actually show you a lot of these books because I've already put them away and it takes a lot of work to get them all out. But you can see any of these posts in my previous blog post where I share our full curriculum rundown, or in my YouTube videos per grade. I do have those as well, and there's a playlist, which I'll try to link here, that you can look at. So some of the hits were word roots. We decided not to go with Latin studies this year. We were all kind of struggling with Latin studies, and I just wasn't seeing the benefits that I wanted. And that is fully on me as a teacher. We don't have the funds to outsource that. So I thought, what can we do to get the benefits that we really need? Because I don't need my kids to speak Latin. That would be great, but they don't have to. But I would like them to know the word roots. And so we started using word roots beginning. And I have shared about that on here. And it is working out really well, other than the fact that my kids have pretty much never used a workbook, so they're learning out the nuances of filling in blanks and answering questions that way. So that's a little bit of a tackle for them, but it's a good thing for them to learn. And so they're enjoying word roots beginnings. They've also really enjoyed their business math. My oldest two do Simply Charlotte Mason business math and do very well with that. It's great for, you do invoices, you do percentages, you write checks, all kinds of things. It's been a really great fit for them. For my younger kids, I don't think I have the book here. I just have a cheap market math book that I make copies from for them. And basically the first problems that they've done is basically they're given like a shopping list and they have to add up how much it would be. What if you bought 2 of these items? And that has just been some basic practice in multiplication and adding. And so that has been a good fit for them. Also, our biographies. If you watch any of my curriculum videos, if you look at our posts, you'll know that we are very biography heavy. We do a Christian biography, 2 American history biographies, and a science biography every term. And I'm not too picky if they have to roll it over to the next term, but almost all of my kids finished their biographies for term 1, which was awesome. I have one who's like 3 chapters shy of finishing hers, and the other, hers was quite a mammoth of a book. It was Undaunted Courage about Lewis and Clark, and it's a behemoth. And so she asked if she could take it a little slower, and I was okay with that. So, but they are doing really well with biographies. My kids relate really well with biographies. It's a favorite of mine. And so we will be going forward and using just as many biographies. And you can see my selections on my blog or here. The other thing was our literature choices. If you saw my video, you know we took a different approach to literature this year. Rather than, usually I kind of stick to a book list like Ambleside Online or something like that to get my books from. They tend to all be classics, which isn't bad. I want my kids to have classics, but I realized we were missing some of the more modern printings of different books, or just different kinds of titles that are still just as wonderful. And you can see that in my video about classics versus modern lit. And this year that has gone really well. Most of them have not finished either of them because we did plan to pace that out, so they're reading it much slower. They've all been a hit. All the choices have hit well with my kids, except for Phantom Tollbooth. My 7th grader is not enjoying that particularly. I think some of the nuances are getting lost on her, and that's okay, but she continues to read it and just tells me it's a really weird book, which, I mean, it is a weird book. And so I know from my 4th grader that The Guardians of Gahul was an amazing choice for her. She loves birds. It is a living book. I'm telling you, gotta go check it out. It's all about owls. You have lots of learning about owls, and that was a big hit. Scarlet Pimpernel was a hit with my oldest, as I knew it would be. They've done well with both the classics and the moderns and enjoyed them all. And so that is going well. Also, just their daily work, having their independent time first thing after our koinonia, which koinonia is going well when mama is feeling well enough. I did have a very rough first trimester, so we're still getting back in the swing of that, but they did really well with that as usual. I do have a video about that. And then their daily independent work, they just have a habit now that they do it without being told and without even really needing their checklist. But their daily work includes copywork, recitation, read a poem, read 2 readings, and then practice their instruments. All of my kids have 2 instruments, piano, and then something else. I have a violinist, now a flautist, and then 2 with recorder, and so our daily independent work has been going really well, and so is koinonia, and that has been going super well. Somebody wants a snack. But we had a few misses, and a lot of that is related to my morning sickness and just sheer exhaustion. It's my 8th child, and it was rough, and I was okay to let a lot of that slide because of it. So some of the things that were amiss were basically everything around morning time. Morning time in general just didn't happen most days, most weeks, and that's okay. My kids were getting all of that in other places. We did manage to finish a lot of the topics and books that we wanted. We just didn't get to all of them, and that's okay. So things like geography, Spanish, some of our history, historical fictions, and our read alouds kind of went by the wayside, or we went through them much slower than I had anticipated. And so that was hard. I have collectives where I need to do certain lessons with certain older age groups, and that got pushed back. Plutarch and Shakespeare always seem to be the ones who take the hit in our family. It's not that we don't love them. It's just they are the easiest to chop. The other thing was geography. My geography choices for my oldest and my 7th grader are not going well. Brendan Voyage is a hard book. And so I think we're going to switch that out. I'm still looking for a title to replace it for this next term. My oldest did longitude. She doesn't like Dava Sobel's writing is really what it comes down to. I loved longitude. I thought it was a great book, but it was not a good fit. So she's going to forego the last. And so my oldest is going to move on to, it's a book about the Oregon Trail. Now I cannot think of the title, but it is in our post. And so she will be doing that for geography. And then the other thing that was a miss was grammar. I have been using Simply Grammar. I have the one by Karen Andriola. I have the one from CM Simple Studies. They're the same thing basically, and one is more modern wording of certain things. It worked well for my oldest. It is not working well for my next 3. And so I just asked my husband, I said, can we please try something else? So what we are trying is Editor-in-Chief, and this has been, we've only done a couple lessons so far, but it has been a good switch because it's more practical and the wording they understand. And so here they are given a topic that they read about. So the very first one is that they read about capitalization. And so they'll read through it, and then what is it for? When do you use it? And then they'll have some practical where they go through, and it tells you how many you need to correct and all of that. And so they're able to go and make those corrections. And then I forget what the next ones are, but it goes through verb tenses. Sorry, I don't remember. Punctuation. When to use a and an, and so on. And it goes through several topics. This is just book 1. And I think that this is going to be a better fit for my kids because then that way they can take what they learn here and apply it to their written narrations. And so that is help. So what are we doing different for term 2? The biggest thing is scheduling. I have a little more energy now that I'm in about halfway through the pregnancy. And so hopefully that will help. But we are also getting into shorter days, and my kids are like me, and we need our circadian rhythms. We work with the sun, and we don't work so well without the sun. And so we will be having later breakfast time and things like that, which we always do when it gets colder around here. But then we are going to try to stick with our normal routine and schedule because those first few hours my kids really have down pat. They know that we're going to have breakfast and we're going to do our koinonia where we do our hymns and scripture and Christian readings, and then they can go do their independent time. The part that I'm going to change a little bit is right after independent time as I'm going to do my math hour. We have done math after lunch, and that worked for a season. We have done math right before lunch, and that worked for a season. We're struggling. I have 3 kids that I have to do lessons with, sometimes 4, and I have 4 kids, which do lessons with, sometimes 5. Let me get that right. And so sometimes we struggle to get that in that time frame. So what I'm going to do instead is at the tail end of their independent time, I'm going to move our math hour there where I have math, and I'm going to give them assigned time slots, like this is your math time. So that way, and it's not going to change. I've tried rotating, different people go first, try to be fair. No, we're not doing that. We're just going to have a rotation, a regular rotation every day. This is who goes first. This is what time you need to be here. By this time, you need to have your pencil, your paper, everything, and be sitting by me. And I just need that to be set in stone, even if nothing else is. So that way we make sure math is getting done for everyone. And then I will also, during that math time, have our computer time. We have, at the moment, 2 computers that our children can use for typing one day or extra math another day. And so I'm going to give them set times. Like, I'm working with this kid for math. You two can go do your typing and your extra math, depending on the day. And then that's the end of computer time. My kids don't really ask for more computer time. They don't really know what else they can use the computer for. But just to make sure everyone's getting a chance before we have to leave for the day, because we do have to leave. And then we will have morning time up to lunch. I don't usually do morning time during lunch because my husband comes home for lunch, and he frankly can't not interrupt a story. He gets a little too involved in our lessons. Let's just put it that way. And so I try not to do readings at lunch. That's also time for the kids to talk and visit with each other and with their dad and with me. And so we don't usually do it at lunchtime, but by moving morning time to there, I feel like I'll be more confident that, okay, if we have to move it over into lunchtime for a reading, then that would be fine. The other thing is that we will be doing lunch at 12:30, which is hard. For a season, we were able to move it to 1, and then we had a kid who couldn't handle it, and I think I've explained this in a video. When I have a toddler, they kind of turn into the Hulk if they don't eat at specific times. So to adjust that, we're having a later breakfast, so I need to move snack time back, and then I can move lunch back. And hopefully it should all work out. Theoretically, that seems like it would work. We'll give it a shot for November. December will change because we will be doing more of our holiday schooling for morning time, so that makes it vastly different. But for their independent work and things like that, that won't change in December. And then we'll have a break for Christmas, and then we'll start again in January. And so that's kind of what is different, is changing the math hour in the morning time and a later lunch. The other thing is that we're having a library day. This is because we are just leaving the house so much. We have to be in another town that's about 45 minutes away for music lessons 2 days a week. And that hinders us from doing certain things. But because of that, we also try to combine it with other errands, and that's hard. You can't combine it with groceries because you're too far away. When we get home too late. So I'm going to try to combine it with our library time and take school with us. I'm going to take some of my collective work, so the things I would do with my older kids, to the library, and math to the library, and we will just go in the morning and hang out there for the day. Until we need to leave to go to the music lessons. And then pack a lunch for in between. But that's kind of the plan there, to help ease our transitions on that day, because the day that we're gone the longest, it is very hard to get all the things done that we need to do and transition to leaving the house. So we're going to do library day. We've done in the past. Some tips if you're going to do school at the library, I have learned over the years. Beware your history reading. Beware your history readings. Ancient Roman history was not necessarily the best choice for the library day when they were having toddler story time. Yeah, this is a little violent. Also, Plutarch, not really a great read aloud for the library. Shakespeare, hit or miss, depending. We're always in the children's department, so some things are fine. However, when Hamlet's stabbing Polonius and saying words that we deem inappropriate today, probably not the best thing for reading in the children's department at the library. And so if you're going to do read out loud at the library, I encourage you to do it. Do school at the library. I have had so many librarians come up to me and say, thank you for coming, and you show these other parents that it's possible to read aloud to your kids, that you can do school with your kids, and that it doesn't have to be a big ordeal, that you can come here and you can use this space in this way. And they've been very encouraging about it, but you do want to be careful what you're reading, because some of these things that we read at home, we don't think anything about. Just saying, there are certain things that you need to be careful about your your read aloud choices in the library, because not everybody wants to hear about people being gored in deadly, brutal, bloody battles. So that is one thing. But I have had nothing but positive comments from libraries, and we've done it at I think 4 or 5 different libraries. We have one that a card we can use at multiple libraries. And so we've always had encouragement from librarians, very helpful to help us find books on topics, or even just to help my kids find books at their reading level. Libraries are awesome, and they do have seem like they're pushing an agenda these days. Part of that's the library. It's a public entity, so it's going to happen. The other thing is that's what the publishing companies are making. So, you take that into account, but I wouldn't write off your library completely. Give it a chance. Talk to librarians. Let them know what you're looking for. I have never met a librarian who was not very helpful. Take your kids to the library. It is not an antisocial. It is not something to be feared. But, use discretion. We have loved our library. Keep in your mind safety issues. Keep your kids in view. Follow the rules. I feel like that should be said for anywhere, but libraries are a great place, and they're a great place to spend your homeschool day. Ours have computers that you can use that have games that I wouldn't have at home. My kids get time limits to use them. A lot of libraries have scavenger hunts or things like that that can get the kids interacting. You can borrow games. You can board games, card games, toys, and books as well. And it has just been a wonderful experience. My kids look forward to Library Day, and the librarians have always been a help and a blessing to us. So that is my little library spiel out of there. But I hope that is helpful for you. If you have any questions about specific items that we were using or are not using anymore, let me know in the comments, or check out my other videos or blog posts about our curriculum to find it. But overall, I think it was a great term. Things went well. Like I said, the problems were with me being because of morning sickness, and sometimes life happens, and that's how it is. So we made sure we got all the main things done, and we're moving forward, and we're going to just pick up where we left off with the morning time things and keep moving forward on those. I will try to do a video again, probably not till February, because that's when our next term will end, because we will have the holidays. So make sure you check back then. If you have questions about holidays, I will be posting about that soon in the near future. And make sure you check out the blog if you are looking for some free copywork, because I have all of that up there, and I have more seasonal holiday copywork coming out soon. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. And if you have any questions, let me know. Let us go forth and strive to serve the Lord and our families wholeheartedly.